Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained, even though you didn't say much at all? Maybe it was your adult child who snapped at you over nothing, or a friend who always finds a way to criticize your choices, no matter how kind or well-meaning you try to be. Or perhaps it's that one family member who, every time you get together, seems to carry a storm cloud in with them. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know you're not alone, not even close. And more importantly, there is something you can do about it. When we reach a certain age, our 60s, 70s or beyond, you would think that people would show more kindness, more respect. After all, we've lived through enough storms, haven't we? We've raised families, held jobs, paid our dues. But sadly, that's not always the case. Sometimes the people who should be our biggest supporters are the very ones draining our energy, pushing our buttons, or making us question our worth. Now let me say this right up front. This video isn't about judging anyone. We're not here to label people or call anyone names. This is about you. This is about helping you protect your peace and take back the power that might have slowly slipped through your fingers over the years. In the next few minutes together, we're going to talk heart to heart about how to handle the difficult people in your life without yelling, without bitterness, and without sacrificing your dignity. I'll share simple, powerful ways to stand your ground, speak with confidence, and stay calm, no matter how someone else chooses to behave. You'll walk away from this knowing exactly what to say and do the next time someone tries to steal your peace. Let's begin with something really important. The way we see the person in front of us. It's easy to label someone as toxic, or narcissistic, or manipulative. And in some cases, that label might feel accurate. But here's a truth that most people don't talk about. Difficult behavior usually comes from pain. That rude comment? It's often fear in disguise. That controlling attitude, usually rooted in insecurity. When someone is being hard to deal with, it's rarely about you, it's almost always about them. Now, I'm not saying you should tolerate abuse or stay silent in the face of cruelty. Not at all. But when you can shift your mindset from "this person is impossible" to "this person is struggling in a way they don't know how to express," something powerful happens. You stop taking it personally. You stop reacting emotionally. And in that moment, you take back your power. Let me give you a small example. Imagine your daughter says, "You never listen to me." Maybe it's over the phone, maybe it's at the kitchen table. You weren't even trying to argue, but now you're being accused of something unfair, and it stings. In the past you might have jumped in defensively saying, "That's not true," or "I was listening." But there's a better way, a calmer way, a more powerful way. You take a breath, look her in the eye and say, "Are you saying that I never listened to you at all, or that you feel unheard in this moment?" Just that simple question changes everything. You're not attacking, you're not folding either. You're showing her that you're present, but also asking for clarity. And more often than not, the other person will soften, because the truth is, they want to be heard. Most people aren't looking for a fight, they're looking to feel. This brings me to one of the most overlooked skills in dealing with difficult people. Silence. Yes, silence. It's more powerful than most words. When someone disrespects you, when they say something mean, sarcastic, or just plain rude, your first instinct might be to fire back. But the wiser move, the stronger move, is to pause. Let the silence settle for a few seconds. Let it become just uncomfortable enough that the person starts to realize what they've said. Then, with calm and strength, say something like, "That's beneath the kind of conversation I'm willing to have." That one sentence, it creates a boundary, a line in the sand, and you didn't have to raise your voice or get into a shouting match to do it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. That sounds good, but in the moment, I freeze. I get upset, or I say the wrong thing, or I don't say anything at all and regret it later. Friend, that's okay. Truly, you're human, and you've probably spent most of your life caring deeply about other people's feelings, maybe even more than your own. But you can learn how to stand strong without being. You can learn how to respond instead of react. Let's talk about another situation that comes up often, especially for folks in our age group. You're at a family gathering. The food is warm, the conversation is buzzing, and then someone, maybe a relative, maybe an old friend, makes a comment that stings. Still single, huh? Or looks like you've gained a few since last year. You laugh it off, maybe change the subject, but deep down, that comment lingers. Next time, instead of brushing it under the rug, try this. Pause, look at them gently, and say, I need you to say that again. That one request, said calmly, often makes people stop in their tracks. Most folks don't want to hear their own cruelty repeated back to them, and if they do repeat it, then you have every right to ask, did you say that to hurt me? You're not yelling, you're not accusing, you're simply shining a light on their words and making it very clear that you're not the kind of person who lets things slide anymore. And that's the beauty of getting older, isn't it? You've earned the right to protect your peace. You've earned the right to stop entertaining every drama or disrespectful comment that comes your way. You no longer have to attend every argument you're invited to. In fact, one of the strongest things you can say in a difficult situation is simply, I see things differently. That's it. You don't need a long speech. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to change anyone's mind. You just need to hold your ground with calm, quiet confidence. And here's the truth. Difficult people lose interest when you stop reacting. They can't control someone who doesn't take the bait. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine they've tossed you a fishing line, but instead of grabbing the hook, you just smile and keep walking. No argument, no drama, just peace. Now maybe you're dealing with someone in your life who's not just occasionally difficult, but consistently manipulative. Maybe they twist your words, rewrite history, make you feel like the problem even when you know in your heart you were only trying to help. That's called gaslighting, and it's more common than you might think, especially in family dynamics. When someone tries to gaslight you, one of the most powerful phrases you can use is, I remember it differently. That's all. You don't have to explain. You don't have to defend. You're simply standing in your truth and refusing to be dragged into their version of events. Because the truth is, you don't owe anyone your emotional energy, especially if they've shown you they can't handle it with care. You owe it to yourself to feel calm, to feel safe, to feel respected. And yes, you can still be kind without being a doormat. You can still be loving without being controlled. You can still be compassionate without abandoning yourself. Handling difficult people isn't about changing them. It's about changing how you respond to them. And when you do that, when you respond with grace, strength, and clarity, everything changes. Let's take a breath together right here. Just a moment to feel how powerful even one small shift can be. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to prove your point to people who aren't ready to hear it. You just have to stay in your power. And that begins with your next word, your next pause, your next choice to protect your peace. Let's keep going now. Let's talk about something that often catches us off guard. Those moments when someone tries to control the conversation or your time, and you feel like you have no choice but to go along. Maybe they drop by unannounced and say, you got 5 minutes, and deep down you know it's not 5 minutes, it's 45. You feel your chest tighten, your mind's already on dinner or your evening walk, but now you're being pulled into something you weren't prepared for. Here's the good news. You don't have to say yes, just to be polite. Your time is sacred. You've earned the right to protect it. Instead of saying, sure, try this. I'm not available right now, but I'd be happy to talk another time. How's tomorrow afternoon? It's simple, it's respectful, and it reminds both you and the other person that you get to decide when and how you engage. That small shift in how you respond, that's you taking back your time and your power. And let's say they push a little more. Maybe they guilt trip you. Maybe they say, you never make time for me anymore. Take a breath. You don't have to apologize for setting boundaries. In fact, here's a phrase you can keep in your back pocket. I want to give you my full attention, and I can't do that right now. You're not saying no to the relationship. You're saying yes to a healthier version of it. That's what boundaries are. They're not walls to keep people out. They're fences that show where love and respect can safely grow. Now, what about the moments when you do have to respond? When someone insists on arguing or pushing your buttons, and you can't just walk away. One of the best tools you can use is a gentle redirect. Let's say someone's going on, ranting, trying to bait you into a fight. Instead of jumping in, you calmly ask, "Is this something we have to agree on right now?" You'd be surprised how often that question stops the whole thing in its tracks. Because in truth, most arguments aren't about urgent problems. They're about ego. And when you shine a light on that without attacking, the steam starts to fizzle out. And if they say, "Well, yes, it is important," then you simply say, "Okay, let's find a time when we're both in a better headspace to talk this through." Again, you're not avoiding. It's not about being passive. It's about being intentional. You're choosing when and how to engage, instead of being dragged into the storm on someone else's terms. Here's something else that's incredibly powerful, and it doesn't require you to say anything at all. Your breath. Yes, your breath. You know how when you get upset your shoulders rise, your jaw clenches, and your heart starts to race. That's your body going into fight or flight mode. It's totally normal. It's just biology. But when you hold your breath during a tense conversation, your words tend to come out sharp, rushed, or not at all. So the next time things start getting tense, try this. Take a slow, full breath. Feel your shoulders drop. Let that breath be the first thing you say before you respond. That moment of grounding will change what comes next. You'll speak with more control. Your voice will be steady. And best of all, the person across from you will sense that shift. And often they'll begin to match your tone without even realizing it. Calm energy is contagious. Let's take it a step further. What happens when someone keeps pushing your buttons? Maybe they always find a way to bring up something painful from the past, or they act sweet in public, but cold in private. Maybe they use guilt like a weapon, reminding you of all the things they've done for you, just so you'll feel small. Friend, here's what I want you to remember. You are not responsible for someone else's emotions. You are responsible for your own peace. And peace doesn't mean silence. It means clarity. So here's what you can say when someone tries to guilt you. "I hear that you're upset. I also know that I need to take care of myself in this moment." You don't owe anyone your exhaustion. You don't have to explain your every decision. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let them feel disappointed without rushing to fix it. Let them sit with their own discomfort. It's not your job to carry it. Now let's talk about those conversations where someone rewrites history. They twist your words, deny things they've clearly said, and try to make you feel like you're losing your mind. It's confusing, it's hurtful, and it's designed to make you doubt yourself. That's gaslighting. And here's the tool I want you to use. I remember it differently. That's it. Not "you're wrong," not "how dare you say that," just "I remember it differently." No defense, no debate, no argument. That phrase is like a gentle shield. It protects your truth without stepping into the trap of justifying yourself. And the more calmly you say it, the more powerful it becomes. If they push back again, just repeat it. "I remember it differently." You see, people who gaslight want you to chase them around in circles. They want you to doubt your own memory so they can feel more in control. But when you stop dancing in that circle and stand still in your truth, they can't lead you anywhere. You break the pattern. Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that hits even closer to home. How we might sometimes say things that hurt without realizing it. Maybe you're a parent and your adult child visits wearing something new, and without thinking you say, "Is that new? Looks expensive." You're not trying to criticize, you're curious. Or maybe you're worried about how they're managing their money. But to them it feels like judgment. And now the room goes a little quiet. What would it feel like if they turned to you and gently asked, "Are you trying to embarrass me?" That moment would probably sting a little, right? But it would also help you see yourself in a new light. Because we all, every single one of us, have moments when we say something sharp or passive or unkind without realizing it. That's why it's so important, especially in later life, to stay open, to listen, to learn, When someone gives you feedback, even if it's hard to hear, take a breath and say, "Thank you for telling me. I didn't realize it came across that way." That one sentence, it can repair years of tension. It can bring healing where there's been hurt. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. And when someone else says something belittling to you, you now know how to respond. You ask, "Did you say that to hurt me?" Or simply, "I need you to repeat that." These small, clear statements create space. They take the heat out of the moment and return control to you. Let's take a second to recognize something beautiful here. Every time you choose to respond with calm, every time you choose to breathe instead of react, every time you protect your peace instead of proving your point, you are modeling strength. You're showing the people around you, your kids, your grandkids, your friends, that aging doesn't mean fading away. It means rising with more wisdom, more patience, and more power than ever before. Because after everything you've lived through, after all the lessons, the heartbreaks, the joys, the mistakes, the victories, you've earned the right to not be pulled into every storm. You've earned the right to say, "This is my peace. I will protect it." And I promise you, when you speak from that place of calm, grounded power, people notice. They may not always agree with you. They may not even admit it. But deep down, they feel it, and that feeling lingers longer than any argument ever could. Let's keep going. Sometimes the most powerful decision you'll ever make is simply deciding not to engage. Not because you're weak, not because you're avoiding conflict, but because you know your energy is too valuable to waste on people who refuse to meet you with the same level of respect. There's a quiet strength in saying, "I'm not going to fight about this," not as a way of backing down, but as a way of rising above. You get to decide which conversations are worth your energy and which ones aren't. And not every comment deserves a response. Not every battle is worth entering. In fact, sometimes the most loving response you can give is silence. Now, let's say you're in a situation where someone is raising their voice. Maybe it's your sibling, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's your spouse of many years. They're upset. Their volume is going up. They're trying to pull you into the chaos. What do? Lower your voice. Speak slower, softer, calmer. When you lower your volume, you raise your influence. You see, when someone's energy is all over the place and you bring in steady, grounded calm, it disrupts the pattern. You become the anchor in the storm. And more often than not, they'll start to match your tone, because no one likes to be the only one yelling in a calm room. Now, you might be thinking, "That sounds nice, but what if I'm angry too?" And you know what? That's completely normal. You're allowed to feel angry. You're allowed to feel hurt. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel. But what you do with that feeling, that's where your power lives. Before you respond, put your shoulders down. Take a breath. Remind yourself, I don't have to prove anything right now. I don't have to convince anyone of anything. I can just stand firm in what I know is true, and that's enough. Here's another truth that might feel a little uncomfortable, but stick with me. You don't have to fix everyone's problems. You don't have to be the peacemaker all the time. You don't have to play therapist for your children, or referee for your siblings, or emotional punching bag for your spouse. You are allowed to set limits, even with the people you love most. It's okay to say, "I want to support you, but I can't carry this for you." It's okay to say, "I hear you, and I care, but I'm not the right person to help with that right now." You're not turning your back on anyone. You're just choosing not to abandon yourself. Because let's be honest, how many years have you spent putting other people first? How many holidays? How many late nights? How many quiet sacrifices that no one ever saw, but you made them anyway? And that's beautiful. That's what love does. But now, in this season of your life, it's okay to come back home to yourself, to prioritize your own emotional well-being, to say, "I matter too." It's not selfish, it's healthy, and it's long overdue. Now, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools you can carry into any difficult situation, and it might surprise you. It's the word maybe. When someone throws a jab at you, or tries to start an argument, and you feel that old pull to defend yourself, pause and simply say, "Maybe you're right," or even, "Maybe so." It doesn't mean you agree. It doesn't mean you're admitting guilt. It just means you're not going to fuel the fire. You're letting the moment pass, without letting it shape you. And what happens next? They're left holding the match, but no fire, because you didn't give them the reaction they were looking for. This is especially helpful in family dynamics. Say you're at dinner and someone brings up a past disagreement or starts rehashing an old wound. You don't have to relive the whole timeline. You don't have to explain or correct or debate. Just breathe and say, I remember it differently, or I think I see it a little different. You're honoring your truth without creating more conflict. And sometimes that's the most dignified response you can offer. Now, let me share something close to my heart. There's a good chance you've spent most of your life being the one to hold things together, the one people came to, the one who fixed things, the one who smoothed over the rough edges, and maybe that role made you feel strong, needed, even loved. But it can also wear you down. It can make you feel invisible, tired, overlooked, especially when the people you gave the most to are the same ones who give you the least in return. So if no one has told you this lately, let me tell you now, you deserve peace. You deserve rest. You deserve conversations where you don't have to walk on eggshells. You deserve relationships where love doesn't come with a guilt trip attached. And yes, even now, even at 60 or 70 or 80, it's not too late to draw those lines in the sand, not in anger, but in love. Love for yourself. Because here's the thing, when you protect your peace, something amazing happens. You start attracting people who respect it, people who match your calm, people who understand your no without needing an explanation, people who don't take your kindness for weakness, but as a sign of wisdom. And the people who don't like it, the ones who complain when you stop being their emotional dumping ground, let them complain. They'll either learn how to show up with respect, or they'll drift away, and either way, you win. Now, before we close, I want to remind you of something simple but powerful. Your power has always been with you. It's not something someone else gives you. It's not something that disappears with age. If anything, it grows. With every year, you've gained more insight, more clarity, more strength, and yes, more freedom to decide what kind of energy you allow into your life. So the next time you find yourself face to face with a difficult person, pause, breathe, decide if it's worth your peace. And remember, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You can say, I need time to think. I'm not ready to talk about this. I'm not comfortable with that tone. Or simply, no. And that one word, no, can be the most powerful sentence you ever speak. Because saying no to chaos, saying no to drama, saying no to guilt, manipulation, or emotional games, that's how you say yes to yourself. Yes to peace. Yes to joy. Yes to quiet mornings and soft evenings and conversations that feel warm instead of tense. So, if you've made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you, truly. Thank you for showing up for yourself today, for choosing to grow, to learn, to protect your peace. Even now at this beautiful stage of life, if you found something in this video helpful, I would love to hear from you. Share your story in the comments. Has there been someone in your life who's made things difficult? How have you responded? Or is there a new phrase from today's video you're excited to try? Let's learn from each other. This channel, Strong Elderly Life, is here for you, for us, for everyone who believes that aging isn't the end of growth, but the beginning of a stronger, wiser, more powerful season. And if you haven't already, take a second and click the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next conversation that just might help you take another step toward your best life. Because here's the truth. It's never too late to heal. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to speak up. And it's never too late to take back your peace and your power. You deserve that. You've always deserved that. So here's to fewer arguments, to clearer boundaries, to calmer mornings, and to living your best life at any age. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, take care of your peace. It's worth protecting.